Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar today. I am Chelsea Buck. I'm the Director of Development here at Interfaith, and wow, what a great group we have joining us today. It looks like some of you have been on our previous webinars, and a lot of you are new. So again, thank you for joining. Thank you for all of your support, whether you're a volunteer, a donor, a community partner, an old friend of Interfaith. It is truly your partnership that makes our work possible, so thank you. I'm going to cover a few housekeeping items before we get started. Today's webinar is scheduled for 1 hour. Approximately the first half will include presentations from Interfaith, with the remainder dedicated to questions and answers. You can find the question and answer box on the bottom of your screen. Click the More tab if it isn't visible in your bottom taskbar. Any technical issues can be submitted in that Q&A box, and someone will answer directly, or you can call Jay if you're having issues with your computer. Jay can be reached at 760-803-1498. It looks like he's chatting his number in the chat bar. You're welcome to submit questions throughout the program, and they'll be answered in the second half of the webinar. There's an option to submit questions anonymously. Otherwise, we'll read your name when they're answered. Lastly, the webinar is being recorded, but guests and attendees are not visible. I would now like to introduce Interfaith CEO, Greg Angel. Today, Greg is going to introduce us to the people on the front lines at Interfaith's coastal North County locations. Each person will share specifics about the various types of services being offered to the men, women, and children who are coming to Interfaith for help. Greg.
Thank you, Chelsea, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm standing outside of our Carlsbad Service Center. For those of you who joined us on our last webinar at our Escondido Service Center, 25,000 square feet, multi-service center, 50 people in residence, full service kitchen, all that goes on in Escondido. Consider Carlsbad the little engine that could on the coast. And so that's what we're going to show you today. And then we're going to pop around and show you some of our other coastal locations, including our veterans housing in Oceanside. And we're going to get to hear from our clinical director, Dr. Megan Hawker, about the now 3 motel sites that we're managing related to COVID. But first, let me walk you through and talk about what we're doing here at our Carlsbad Center. All right, so you can see we are in the Faraday Business Park. We're located at 5731 Palmer Way in beautiful Carlsbad. And you can see one of our case managers there, Daisy, meeting with somebody. Thank you for waving. And I'm going to show what would normally be a very busy place. The center here really focuses and focused before COVID-19 on employment. And so we make day labor connections here every day. And before COVID-19, this lobby would be full of individuals, 20 to 30 people every morning, many of them staying at our nearby partner shelter run by Catholic Charities. And they come here to get day labor placements. And they have computers so they can work on resumes, look for long-term jobs. And in a normal month, we're placing people at close to 40 different job opportunities. Of course, that looks very different now. Now, we're doing a lot of focus on what you're seeing here, basic needs. Unfortunately, the jobs that we were placing so many people into stopped. They fell off a cliff, frankly, in the first part of March. So if I did this tour for you 2 months ago, you would have seen a busy front lobby, and we would have placed a number of people directly into employment today. However, what we're doing now is an appointment basis system. So people who are registered with us can still come, place an appointment, and we will connect them to jobs. And that's something that you can do to help today. If you need help moving, if you need help around the house, if you have a business that's getting up and running and you need laborers, we can help provide that labor. Give us a call and we can make that connection virtually for you. And what our team's doing now, what you saw Daisy doing in the front, when she waved as I walked in, is we're meeting with families and individuals on an appointment by appointment basis, and we're meeting basic needs with food assistance, as you can see, but most people have lost their jobs or their hours have been cut so dramatically that they're just trying to figure out how to pay the rent and how to stay housed. And so we're doing a lot of rental assistance now. And we're helping people with rental assistance when that last bit of money in is going to keep them housed. We're going to talk a little bit more. Sorry, my face mask is not cooperating with me right now. We're going to talk a little bit more about what else we're doing here at the Carlsbad Center. But first, I'd like to turn it over to our program manager here, who also runs our Transitional Youth Academy, which is deeply connected with the work we're doing with families here on the coast, but really starting with the high school age students that we're working with at a couple different high schools. So I'm going to turn it over to Vanessa, and then we'll continue to talk as we go through this next half hour, an hour, about what we're doing throughout this Carlsbad Center. Vanessa, can you talk a little bit about Transitional Youth Academy and fill in some of the important pieces that I may have glossed over related to what we're doing here in Carlsbad?
So just within the past month, we have served 25 families through rental assistance. This is for this site. This is usually the amount that we serve for the entire year. So that just lets you know what the need is within our community here. In addition to our rental assistance, I also manage the Transitional Youth Academy program, as Greg was saying. So we manage Carlsbad High School and El Camino High School in Oceanside, our Transitional Youth Academy programs there. So those programs, we are typically at the school site, available for our students, available for the faculty, right there on the spot. However, now we cannot be at our school site, so we actually have our TYA case managers here at this site, still providing supports to our students and families. We've had the students create vision boards and share their vision boards with each other so that they maintain their motivation and generally their hopes during this time that is so challenging for so many. We've also had our behavioral health case manager come in and speak with the students, giving them coping skills for any fears, anxieties, or worries that they might have at this time. And then we're still providing them with academic support, making sure that they are still on track to graduate and to progress on to the next grade level. In addition to that, we're supporting our families, making sure that they are still self-sufficient and taking care of their basic needs. So that's our Transitional Youth Academy program. Again, we're in Carlsbad Unified and Oceanside Unified School District.
Vanessa, is there a student and their family who whose story comes to mind, who's particularly been impacted recently, who we're working with, that you might share to help our viewers connect?
Yes, we do have a lot of students. We actually had one of our youth was on his way to graduating and towards getting his GED, and his plan got completely stalled. He needed his GED in order to move on to the next step in his life, but because the school closures happened, he actually missed the time frame that he needed to submit his GED to be accepted into the next program, which also included his housing. So he had already left his stable house at that time and moved on. So he actually ended up experiencing homelessness. He came to us very humbly, just hoping for food. But because of our wraparound services, we were actually able to provide him with food, do a full needs assessment, and get him into housing the very next day. But if it wasn't for the school closures, he would have just been able to progress with his life plan. So we're still providing him support and making sure that he doesn't lose his motivation that he had for his future goals. For our in-school high school youth, with them, we are just so proud of them. We've seen even during this time that their grades are still increasing and still being maintained. So we're really happy to see that. And they're still applying for colleges and applying for scholarships. So we're just happy to see them stay motivated during this time, especially our seniors who are no longer going to have graduation and prom and all of those important milestones that they typically would have.
Thank you, Vanessa. And we're going to talk a little bit later about how our viewers and our community members can support and help those students with some of the special needs that are out there as a result of this situation. But we're going to move up the coast a little bit geographically. Vanessa and I are here in Carlsbad. We're going to go up to Oceanside, and I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Mitchell Snow, who is the program manager of our veterans housing in Oceanside. And a fun fact about Mitchell is that he's an Escondido native, and he started, his first connection to Interfaith was volunteering in our kitchen when I think he was like 9 years old. He can correct me if I'm wrong there, but he has a long connection to us, and we're very fortunate for Vanessa, for Mitchell, and for everyone on our team. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mitchell, to share about our vets housing.
Yeah, Greg, that's right. I have been with Interfaith in a sense since I was about 9 years old. So it's been about 20 years for me. I'm here at our transitional housing program for our veterans in Oceanside. I'm right in front of the building. I'll be moving inside in just a minute to get out of the wind. So I apologize if you can't hear me that well. But we've been operating this here in Oceanside for quite a while now. And we essentially try to assist individuals experiencing homelessness who are veterans in moving from homelessness into a permanent housing solution. And we provide these temporary apartments that they can stay in during the time where they're searching for something more permanent. Some of them, and I'll move over to where we can actually take a look at one of the apartments now. This is the one that we actually have assigned specifically because of COVID. This is a quarantine unit. So if anyone happens to get sick while they are in this program, they would come in here. But this is what every single apartment that we have looks like. The furniture is the same. The fridge is the same. They all have a stove. We have some veterans who come into this program with no resources at all. And so we have case managers that work with those veterans to line them up with employment resources, which you've heard some about, line them up with food resources, and try to get them into a situation where they can look for housing. And we have two different types of programs, one for people who already have a housing resource in place. One of them is VA supportive housing, or VASH, and the other one is supportive services for veterans and families, or SSVF. So if they have either of those two programs, our goal is to work with those outside case managers and get them into some sort of permanent housing solution. And for others, we're starting from square one. They may have zero income, zero resources, and we try to connect them to anything that we can. And we've actually received some support from the Carlsbad Service Center during this time, because we have quite a few high-risk veterans who are above the age of 65 or have chronic health conditions. And the food pantry that you've seen Greg standing in is actually where we've been getting some of the food resources for those veterans, so that they don't have to leave the apartment to get food, and we can limit their contact with anyone who may have the virus. So we've been pretty blessed to have that resource as well. So any food that's going to Carlsbad also goes to support our veterans. Outside of that, we've had some success stories, even with everything going on with COVID right now. We had one client, he'd been homeless for 10 years. And he came into our program along with his service dog and was here for about a year. And we were getting pretty nervous when COVID started because we didn't know how we were going to get him into a permanent solution. But thankfully, he ended up getting VA supportive housing. And we found a mobile home park here in Oceanside that was still accepting applicants. And with a lot of hard work from his case manager, who was actually working remotely and making phone calls to the mobile home to make sure that he could get in, he was able to get in just over a week ago. So he had been homeless for 10 years, and him and his service dog now have a home for themselves, and they've been able to get linked into services there to make sure that they have the support that they need. So we've been pretty excited to have those successes, even during a very challenging time.
Thank you, Mitchell. Thank you for walking us through the exterior and the interior of the apartment there. Those apartments were created by our community in 2006, 2007. Interfaith was able to purchase those with some VA money and then a lot of private donor dollars. And it was actually amidst the Great Recession that we were able to completely retire that mortgage, so that all of the funds that we get can go directly to helping veterans. and supporting them on their journey. Mitchell, thank you for sharing. I mentioned earlier that Interfaith is now managing 3 different motel sites. These are special motel shelters that were created as a result of COVID-19. And to talk about what those look like and who we're helping in those shelters, I'd like to turn it over to our clinical director, Dr. Megan Hawker, who oversees our team of mental health clinicians. And we'll talk a little bit more about them later too, but I just want to highlight our amazing Interfaith leadership. We heard from Vanessa earlier. She's completing a master's degree in nonprofit management and leadership. Mitchell, who you just heard from, completed his master's in social work from San Diego State. And Megan Hawker completed her doctorate in psychology from Alliant University, where her specialty, her dissertation, was on post-traumatic growth. And if you have any questions about that, put them into the Q&A box, and we'll get some time to talk about that later. But first, Megan, can you share a little bit about the hotels?
Yes, thank you, Greg. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. As Greg mentioned, we have 3 motel sites right now, currently in Escondido, in Carlsbad, and in Oceanside. So a couple of months ago, Interfaith partnered with the Regional Task Force on the Homeless, as well as the County of San Diego, to really identify those who are most vulnerable, those most at risk to the virus, so that way we could shelter them. So these are not COVID positive clients, but these are clients who are at risk due to their age, they're 65 or older, or due to some type of underlying medical condition. So I'm really happy to share that through the hard work and the cooperation of our team, tonight we're gonna have 145 individuals sheltered throughout these 3 sites. So the clients have come through a variety of programs. One of the ways that the clients were identified was through our shelter program. So due to the need for social distancing, our Haven House shelter, we had to reduce the number of beds. And so we were able to leverage these motel rooms in order to continue to provide shelter and support to these clients. The other way that we identified clients for these programs is through our homeless outreach teams. So in each of these respective cities, in Oceanside, Escondido, and Carlsbad, we have homeless outreach teams. So these are social workers, licensed and pre-licensed, who partner with law enforcement officers. And so they go out on a daily basis and they engage with individuals in the homeless community. So these staff really have a good pulse on what the needs are of these clients and what some of their barriers are. So currently we do not have any availability in the motels. They are all full. And when clients come into the motel, we provide them with a range of services. So we provide daily door knocks. We check in with the clients to make sure everything's going okay. We provide food on a regular basis in support with the County of San Diego and the Regional Task Force on the Homeless. Clients get free hot meals a day. Clients are provided with laundry services. And in addition to these day-to-day services, we also provide weekly case management for the clients. And so we're working with clients to get them connected to services. So that might mean benefits, their Social Security, their CalFresh, as well as the coordinated entry system, which is part of the longer term plan to get these clients housed and to get them connected to permanent housing for when this situation is over. So I'd like to share a story of a client. I'll call him Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith was working with our SOAR benefit specialist. So she was, one of our case managers was working with him to get him connected to Social Security disability benefits. And Mr. Smith was going to the hospital about once a month for various reasons. He had some mental health conditions as well as some diabetic neuropathy. He would frequently have infections in his feet and in his hands. And so we identified this individual due to his physical conditions as being at high risk. And so he was one of the first clients that we placed in the motel back in March. And so the client has been connected to Whole Person Wellness, which is an external service provided through Exodus Recovery, and it provides wraparound services. He's continuing to work with his SOAR case manager. And probably best of all is that Mr. Smith hasn't gone back to the hospital since his time of being placed in the motel. Just having that support, having a safe place to be, being able to put up his feet has really benefited his health and kept him from being at risk. So we do have some needs for this program. The clients that we're placing in the motel are pretty, they're pretty vulnerable, and they tend to have a lot of needs, both physical health and mental health. So we are hiring case managers, and we are looking for folks that have experience working with either mental health or working with the homeless population. So if you're interested, please check out our website. We're hiring a couple of case managers, so we would love to have your support. So thanks, Greg.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Megan, and thank you for the amazing work that your team is doing, providing 24/7 support at now 3 different motel sites in Oceanside, Escondido, and Carlsbad. It is a huge amount of work and something that Interfaith Community Services has been able to pull off thanks to the support of a lot of the people who are on this webinar. Our partners and our donors who have supported what we're doing, because when you go from a shelter that was a night shelter, like our Haven House shelter was, to being 24/7, when you add 3 additional 24/7 shelters, when you need more mental health professionals to be supporting the individuals in those shelters, all of that costs more. And we've been able to do that thanks to your support. Your contributions have funded direct assistance to individuals for transportation help, for rental assistance, for some workforce equipment. We are getting some individuals into employment still, despite the environment that we're in. And you're also supporting the amazing professionals who are doing this work and making these things possible. And we could not be doing this without your support. So thank you to everyone for your partnership. And we are going to open it up now for Q&A and spend some time addressing what you who are listening and on this webinar want to hear about, answer questions that you have. Before we do that, one more recap. I just think it's amazing that this organization that you all created, that this community created 40 years ago, serves so many different people and helps in so many different ways. So just in the last 25 minutes, you've heard about how we're helping with employment and basic needs for very low income individuals, often homeless individuals here in Carlsbad, how we're supporting families with rental assistance and access to benefits here in Carlsbad, how you're supporting veterans, men and women who have served our country, who find themselves without housing in their time of need up in Oceanside, and then some of the most vulnerable people on the streets with multiple disabling conditions throughout our community, finding health and stability for the first time for some in many years amidst this coronavirus crisis, and doing it all while masked, even if our masks don't cooperate and they keep falling off our faces like this, being as safe as we can for all our clients, our volunteers, our staff, and our partners. So with that, I will turn it over to Chelsea, and we'll start jumping into some of the questions and go from there. Chelsea.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Vanessa, Megan, and Mitchell. We have some great questions coming in, and I encourage you all to continue to ask away in that Q&A box. I also see that Jay is sharing some resources in the chat bar, so be sure to check that out. Contact information for our Carlsbad Service Center, as well as our Veterans Building in Oceanside. So please check that out. He also shared a link for our career page on our website. So we'll get started here with questions. This one is from Bill Loftus. Hello, Bill. Vanessa, in your work with TYA, have you been approached by homeless college students who have had to leave their on-campus residencies because the college or university has been closed?
Hi, Bill. Thank you so much for your question. The program that I manage is actually the in-school youth program. However, during this call, I was able to reach out to our TYA WIOA program manager, which actually manages the same youth program, except for youth who are 16 to 24 years of age, who are unenrolled in school or might be transitioning, kind of like you're saying, where they might be experiencing a challenge and are not enrolled at the time. We have not received an increase in that age group or that demographic reaching out to us because they are experiencing homelessness. Our program only has one youth who is currently experiencing homelessness, but they are staying in an RV, so they do have access to the basic needs and those resources. Our Our other youth within that program are all within the community colleges, so they are not housed at the college site. But Jay did include the information for the TYA WIOA program manager, who, like I said, that's a 16 to 24 year age group, so that you can get in touch with them and refer any students or youth who might be under that umbrella and experiencing homelessness. You can always refer them over to Carlsbad though, and we will do a general intake, needs assessment, and refer them along to the right program within Interfaith or program outside of Interfaith as well.
Thank you, Vanessa. This is a question also for you, but related to our job services at the Carlsbad Service Center. So is there a job placement fee to employers? That's from BK.
No, there is not. That's the great part about our day labor program. We simply serve as the liaison and the one who makes the connection between the employers and the employees or our clients who we are linking to those jobs. So please feel free to utilize our services. They are free.
Thanks, Vanessa. Another question about our Carlsbad location. This is from Amanda Roth. Hello, Amanda, our wonderful volunteer. Do you take food donations at the Carlsbad location, or do you get the food from the Escondido office?
Both. So if we need to visit our warehouse, we definitely will. That way we make sure that we have those essentials for our community, but we also take food donations. Particularly right now, we need frozen foods. We do have a large freezer here and a refrigerator, so we are able to take frozen goods, particularly those easy to make meals for our seniors within the community and those who are experiencing homelessness. We do have a microwave here at the center, so they can use that to warm up their meals. And then there we go. Greg's going in there right now, and as you can see, it's empty. So we need those meals for our families. You know, keep in mind too that we have a lot of families who are playing double duty, being teacher, mom, and working all at once. So those easy to pop in the oven meals are very helpful right now. So we do take donations. Just give us a call, make sure that we are in the office, and we will meet you in the back and fill up our freezer.
You can see a food order being put together right now. Thank you, Daisy. A lot of this food came yesterday from Feeding San Diego. So we partner with our local food banks, but a lot of what you're seeing up on the shelves here was donated directly here. We have always have a need for diapers, in particular diapers size 5 and 6. People always donate the little diapers, which we love, but we also need the bigger diapers for the bigger kids. So definitely have those donation needs.
Yes, and Greg, a special shout out to Legoland, California. They were able to provide us with a lot of foods because they are closed and their restaurants are closed. So they also helped us to stock our shelves, and that's been on about a once a month basis. So we are happy to create that partnership and are thankful to everybody who donates.
Yeah, that's been an amazing partnership with Legoland. And I'm just scanning here to show you some of the other items that, you know, they may not be top of your mind when you think about what you're donating, but we're looking at wipes, floss, toothpaste, toothbrush. We have a deck of playing cards here. A lot of our residents in the veterans housing programs at our hotels are being sequestered all day long. So we need things to keep people entertained, but just showing some of the ways that you and others can support.
And Greg, thank you for showing that, because that reminds me too that a lot of our individuals who are experiencing street homelessness do not have shower access any longer. Many of them would join an inexpensive gym and pay those monthly dues so that they would have access to a shower. But when the beaches are closed, they might have taken showers there. Now they cannot. And then a lot of our parks and those restrooms are closed. So those wet wipes are very helpful. Hygiene items. We also accept diaper donations here, particularly size 5 and 6 are what we're missing right now. So if you are interested, please give us a call and stop by.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Greg. We have a question from our dear friend, Ermi Ryan. Hello, Ermi. Is the Make It a Home project still in existence?
Yes, absolutely. So Make It a Home is where you provide household items that we move directly into somebody's new home. And that is absolutely still happening. We are not doing as many pickups of furniture donations as we have in the past, primarily for safety reasons. But we are still doing move-ins. We have a warehouse. Maybe that's something that we show you on the next webinar that we do. We want to hear from you what questions you have that you want to see us feature in future webinars. Maybe we show you the 5,000 square foot warehouse that we've created that includes a lot of the food that we use to stock these shelves and also the items to move people into their new homes. Last year, you moved in more than 200 families with complete move-in kits to help them turn that empty apartment into a home, and it is still going today.
Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you, Ermi. This is a wonderful question from an anonymous person here. When I see a homeless individual sleeping on the street, how can I connect with that person?
Right. So I can share my perspective, but
yeah,
I'd love to hear, I'd love to actually first, Megan, your teams are outreaching to individuals in Escondido, Carlsbad, and Oceanside. Can you talk a little bit about what that outreach looks like, and if you have thoughts on what somebody who sees somebody who they think might be homeless might do, and then I can offer my perspective as well.
Yes, thank you, Greg. So our outreach has taken a little bit of a different look in light of the COVID. So we do have our Oceanside team is still conducting outreach, as is our Escondido team. Each city provides outreach in a little bit of a different manner. And in light of the COVID, we do have public health nurses that are also going out with the officers and social workers. So they're going out and they're engaging with clients, and what they do varies. Typically, the first step is really getting to know the client and building rapport. It can be a challenge for clients. Sometimes they're reluctant to engage, especially when law enforcement is involved. But as the social workers engage with clients, they begin to develop that trust and that relationship. And clients tend to be at various stages of change. Some clients are going to be in a place where they want help, whether it's maybe going into some type of treatment, substance use disorder treatment, mental health treatment. And then there's going to be other clients that maybe aren't so engaged in services. So it's hard to provide a one-size-fits-all answer in terms of what do clients want or how do we help them. And so the first step is really getting to know the clients and to find out what their needs are and what their wants are. We do offer basic needs. While unfortunately we don't have enough shelter for all of our clients, we do have services at our locations, such as we still provide sack lunches. Unfortunately, we don't have our morning meal at the main office at 550, but we do provide sack lunches for clients. Clients can come and get some food. They can get a shower. They can do their laundry at the main office at 550. And so I would say, going back to that question of how do we support them, is really connecting with the client, finding out what their needs are and what they would like. And then once you have that information, connecting them to the appropriate resources.
Thank you, Megan. And so for those who can get to our Escondido location, it is by far the most accessible location that we have. Megan mentioned the address a couple times, 550 West Washington. That's open for morning meals, the sack lunches, 7 days a week. We have showers available Monday through Friday in the morning, and they can actually start a conversation with somebody about what other resources are available as well, Monday through Friday in the morning and afternoon. They can call and schedule an appointment to come here in Carlsbad. Our services here are appointment only due to the lower staffing levels and to provide the social distancing that we have. But Megan hit it right on the head. Like, it really takes getting to know somebody to really make a meaningful referral after you've made a meaningful connection. And so if you know somebody who's in this situation and you're not sure if anything that I just described is right, give me a call. We actually had one of these webinars just recently, and somebody reached out to me afterwards, and we've been working with the individual who they referred since. And we're happy to make that connection. So you can call me directly. My cell phone is 858-336-4526. We can put it in the text. And if you're on it, give me a call, and I'd be happy to try to make the best connection that we can. But like Megan said, there's no silver bullet. There's no easy fix. It usually is a longer process, but that's what we're here to do. So hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Megan. We have a great question here for Vanessa from our longtime friend, Doris Payne. Doris asks, are there any special plans for TYA graduates this year?
Oh, what a great question. And that is something that we are currently working on. We definitely want to make sure that our students know that we see all of the hard work that they have done, that we recognize all of their accomplishments. So that is something that we are working on. We welcome ideas always. And if you are interested, you can donate to our Adopt a Scholar program. And that will allow us to make sure that we bring something meaningful for each of the students who are enrolled in the program. We currently have 80 students who are enrolled in the program through Oceanside and Carlsbad Unified School District. So yes, that's something that we have in the works for planning, but right now we are still heavily focused on our paid summer internships. We have some great partners who are still working with us to see how we are going to continue our summer internship program. So that's been our focus for right now, making sure that our kids are still participating in workforce development, which they are doing through our partnership with the San Marcos Unified School District Promise program. They're taking online virtual webinars, everything from resume writing to credits and understanding your credit, banking basics, interview skills. So that's what we're focused on right now, but we are definitely planning something in the future for them.
Thank you, Vanessa, and thank you for that great question, Doris. Graduation certainly looks different for so many youth across our country this year. Another question from Bill. What is still being offered by Interfaith at Libby Lake?
So Libby Lake is our Oceanside Service Center. It's a Oceanside City Community Center that includes Interfaith Community Services and Vista Community Clinic as the primary tenants. Vista Community Clinic has reduced their services there, and as they did that, our volume began to really reduce as well. And so we have far fewer services that are operating out of our Libby Lake Oceanside Center. There is a food distribution that is happening every Friday that Feeding San Diego, I believe, is the provider of the food, that we are there to staff and support and to make connections to the services that we've talked about today, rental assistance, employment support, a little bit more basic needs support. We're also continuing to do taxes and to help individuals complete their tax returns, and to also help individuals who may not receive their stimulus check because their information may have changed, or they may need to do a few things to qualify for that, or they just don't know how to apply for food benefits, for CalFresh, or for Medi-Cal. We can help with all of those things, and we're doing that in a much more limited basis at Libby Lake. But as you can imagine, and as we're hearing on a daily and weekly basis, everything is constantly changing and constantly evolving. So I think there could be a change to that in the very near future. If we see that the demand is there and we're able to meet it with staff and volunteers, we'll be there. One of our challenges has been that our services are in normal times delivered heavily by volunteers, and 90% of our volunteers have been unable to come in amidst COVID-19. So we've really had to be a much more staff-oriented operation, which is very different for us. So it's stretched us a lot of ways, and one of the ways we've been able to do that is by concentrating our staff here at the Carlsbad Center and also at the Escondido Inland Center. Vanessa, did I miss anything related to what we're doing at Libby Lake that you want to share with anyone?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Jay just put the information for our Libby Lake location for the food distributions on Fridays, but we have transferred everything, all of our coastal services. We are the primary coastal site for any supportive services or basic needs that our families along the coast might need. So feel free to refer them over here and to hand out our phone number so that we can provide those supports. And we do taxes still, but the meetings, just keep in mind, are only in Escondido.
And the phone number, Vanessa, for folks to call here at Carlsbad?
It's 760-458-6380.
Awesome. And we'll put that in the chat too, and it's also in some of the information that's been shared. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Vanessa. Vanessa, another question for you related to our day labor program. We have someone who's looking for a temporary housekeeper. Do you have any clients interested in that type of work?
Yes, we absolutely do. And actually a lot of our clients who are in the housekeeping profession were laid off due to COVID. So we have a very long list right now of clients who would be willing to take on that role.
Thank you, Vanessa. And I see that Jay shared contact earlier in the chat bar for that program. So there's information there. This is from Rosario. Hello, Rosario. Are you helping people to apply for unemployment or apply to other emergency funding?
Vanessa, you want to answer that?
Yes, we are. So we help our clients access any benefits. We help them access unemployment insurance. We help them access CalFresh benefits. We are helping them here access their IRS stimulus checks. So whatever the client might need, just have them give us a call so that we can prep if we need to and let them know what documents they need to bring in with them. We are still conducting one-on-one meetings if the client cannot meet virtually or telephonically, as long as the clients do have proper PPE.
Vanessa, could you share a little bit more about how rental assistance works and the level of due diligence that our staff are doing and just how value added that is in really making sure that the families we're helping are maximizing all of the other resources that are available?
Yes, absolutely. So for our rental assistance, one of the things that we like to make sure is that we are not providing rental assistance and our clients are left in the same boat the following month. So seeking rental assistance, unable to continue to pay. So we would typically ask for proof of income. That would look like a pay stub to make sure that they can continue to pay. And typically it would be an emergency situation that would make them unable to pay their rent for that month. Now with COVID, it has moved to individuals who are laid off or unemployed or unable to work because of a chronic health issue that they might have. So that has made the proof of income a bit more difficult. And it's also introduced different individuals, a different demographic to social services. We are seeing a lot of individuals who have never utilized social service support before. So they are new to that process and new to the documents that they might need to turn in, new to receiving access to benefits. So as we go through the rental assistance process and we're looking at their budget and their resources, we will make sure that they are or have at least applied for unemployment benefits, that they have applied to CalFresh, so that all of those other resources that help families to remain self-sufficient at times like these are available to our clients. So for rental assistance, give us a call. We will do a rental assistance screening. Then we will let you know what documents are required in order to start that rental assistance process. We have been fortunate enough to have a lot of funds and grants awarded to us to be able to provide this support to our community. Thank you very much to the City of Carlsbad, who just awarded us a $40,000 grant to be able to provide rental assistance specifically for their community, anybody who is currently living in Carlsbad or is planning to move into Carlsbad. So we are very grateful for that award. Give us a call. We're here to help.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. We have a question related to the Make It a Home program that Greg was speaking about earlier. Where can we take donated items for that program?
So donated items can be brought to 550 West Washington Avenue in Escondido. That is our headquarters. We're there to accept donations during regular business hours, although you can really come after hours and weekends as well. We're there 24/7. And if you have a larger item or you want to schedule it in advance, just give us a call and we'll give you the location of our warehouse. But we just don't have staff there all the time. So I don't want to give that address out. You show up and there's no one there. But if you want to, call us and we'll schedule time for you to bring it directly there. That's also in Escondido. If you have items that need to be dropped off here in Carlsbad, we can arrange for that as well. Just give us a call and we'll schedule that.
Thank you so much, Greg. We have a question from Christy about our Poway Health Center. Is the Poway Health Center still taking food donations? She also says, thank you for your amazing work.
Awesome. Yeah, Poway. So we have a social worker who in normal times is stationed at Neighborhood Healthcare's Poway Health Center. Our health center partners have really been hit hard by this crisis. The amount of services that they're able to provide have been reduced significantly. And a lot of their centers have had to reduce hours and services that are available. I mentioned our partner Vista Community Clinic has reduced hours at the Libby Lake site. That has also happened in Poway. So, but the good news is they are providing more telehealth appointments. And so our partnership with Neighborhood Healthcare is still providing telehealth appointments in Poway, and our social worker, who in normal times would be stationed there, is working remotely from home, and she's actually busier working from home than she was there at the center because of the volume of people reaching out. So she is doing a lot of work to help people with all the services that we've talked about today, making virtual connections, and we're actually able to provide a lot of the assistance virtually and remotely, and have built that capacity up, expanded it significantly in the last 2 months. And when not, we work with people to set appointments for where we do the face-to-face work here in Carlsbad and in Escondido. And then in terms of food, we would connect them to other food distribution sites, which for somebody in Poway could be our location in Escondido. It could be some other Poway locations. A couple of our faith community members have talked about creating a food distribution in Poway, and actually just checked in with one of them yesterday evening to see where that status of that is. Because if it hasn't started yet, I expect we're going to see a new one emerge in the weeks ahead. So as that happens, Christy, we'll be sure to get back to you and let you know the details.
Thank you, Greg. We have a question for Mitchell. Mitchell, thank you for your services so much for our veteran community. How do we refer a veteran who is in need to Interfaith services?
It's actually really easy. Even though most of our team out of the Veterans Office is working remotely, all phone calls still go directly to our receptionist. And she has the contact numbers for any case manager who might be available to support any referral that comes in. So you would just call 760-529-9979, and our receptionist, Jody, will make sure that if she doesn't know the answer for the question that any person who calls has, that she'll get you connected to the right person. So as long as you call that number, you're going to get the same support that you would get if you were walking through our front doors.
Thank you, Mitch.
And we're also still providing all of our veterans employment programs. So we have teams that specialize in helping veterans complete vocational training and then enter jobs that pay livable wages. And thankfully, there's a lot of vocational training programs that are available remotely and online. So our teams are still very actively engaged in doing that work. And we're able to make those connections, both for veterans in our housing programs and other veterans who just have that employment need. So we're continuing to operate those as well.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Mitch. We're continuing to share resources in that chat bar, and I'll ask Jay to share contact information for our referring folks to our veteran programs. We have a question here from Mona. Are you having the people you are helping place as housekeepers and such tested for COVID-19 before you recommend them to prospective new clients?
Hi there. No, we are not. That would be something that you would need to coordinate and talk to the housekeeper about after we make that connection, if that's something that you would want to get documentation of.
Thank you, Vanessa. We have a question here from Corey. He says, I'm not sure if this was covered. I had a hard time hearing us for a minute. Thank you all for your patience. I know we had a few shaky moments there at the beginning. Hopefully we're clearer now. So Corey is asking, do you currently have openings at your shelters?
So unfortunately, no, we do not have any openings at our shelters. Our Haven House shelter in Escondido is full. We are bringing new people in when openings are created, but that is not very often. And as Megan mentioned earlier, our 3 hotel sites are full. And so in total, we're sheltering about 150 plus people at all those sites combined. The exception is our detox and our residential treatment program. We do have some openings there. And so you can call our main line, reach out to any of the numbers that you've been given. I know we've given you a lot today. And if somebody's in need of detox or wants to enter into a residential treatment program, we do have some openings there for men or women, and that's at our residential treatment program or detox that is available in Escondido. Just give us a call and we can schedule an intake for that.
Thanks, Greg. And related to lack of shelter availability, this is a great question from Jim Farley. Hello, Jim. Is Interfaith managing safe parking for the homeless? Are you seeing increased demand for this service?
There's definitely a huge demand for people living out of their cars to be able to have a safe place to sleep. There are unofficial safe parking programs operating at dozens of faith communities in North County. When we did the point-in-time count this last January, we saw an increase in the number of people living in vehicles. A lot of those vehicles are parked in locations that are out of the way and that are kind of below the radar in terms of letting people be there. Jim and the Leach Tech Foundation have offered their property for a fantastic safe parking program operated by Jewish Family Services in Encinitas. There is a need for a lot more of that. And if anyone is interested in hosting a site, wants to be a part of creating more, we worked very closely with Jewish Family Services to identify a number of potential sites. They're tough to site. Shelters in general, it's like the ultimate not in my backyard type of thing. And thank God for Jim and Leach Tech for saying, yes, have it in our backyard. But those of you who followed the news saw that there was a huge dust up around all of that. So it can be a challenge, but yeah, if anyone has a site that they want to create for safe parking, there are sadly far more people in need of it than there are parking resources available. So Jim, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Jim. I see we have just a few minutes left here and just a few questions left. This question is from Donna. Are the services you offer available to our undocumented community? Great question, Donna.
Yeah, so we have immigration services specifically for individuals with immigration documentation needs, with immigration challenges. We provide those in normal times at all of our locations. In these times, it's accessed a little bit more by appointment. And that depends on the service. If somebody is here for food assistance, we're not even having a conversation around immigration. If somebody is getting a job, then we're going to have a conversation about their legal ability to have that job. So it varies on a case-by-case basis.
I think that's it for questions. Let me double check here. Yeah, it looks like we are all good on questions. We have some wonderful, just kind words from people. It is wonderful to see all that you are doing. I appreciate being invited to the tour. Thank you for all you are doing. Bravo. So thank you all for participating and for your very kind words. I'm going to turn it over to Greg to close us out here.
Awesome. Thank you, Chelsea. I want to thank Chelsea. I want to thank our entire development team who organized and put this on today. They make it look really easy, and it's not. And we feel very fortunate to be able to share our work with you, the listeners, because of their hard work. So thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Fiona, Jay, Jen, and everyone who works so hard to make all of our work possible. I want to thank my colleagues for taking time out of their very, very busy days to share with all of you. And I want to thank all of you for your support. The outpouring of support from the community has been stunning. And you've allowed us to be here on the front lines, providing services to a tidal wave of needs that we never thought we would see. Vanessa mentioned that in the last 2 months, we've provided more rental assistance here in Carlsbad than we have in a typical year. Over in Escondido, we see hundreds of people and then about 1,000 by the end of the week, where we used to see dozens of people and a couple hundred by the end of the week. The demands are huge, and we are able to meet those demands and help people through their time of crisis, connect to everything else that you've heard about today because of your support and because of your longtime support in building up the veterans housing that you got a chance to see more than a decade ago. And in working with the city of Carlsbad, who purchased our little small but mighty center here for us. The list could go on, and there are a lot of people on this call who have been a part of us for so long. So I want to thank you for that. I would be remiss if I didn't ask for your continued support. These needs are not going away, and we're really still in the first part of our response. And we know that there will not be a quick snap back to the economy that was happening a couple months ago. We know that we were busy and needed, and that there were a lot of people in crisis, even when that economy was so great a couple months ago. And those needs are going to be greater ahead. Thankfully, we're positioned to help people in those times, provide that hand up. And I want to thank all of you for your support and being a part of it. Last thing I will say is we'd love to hear what else you want to know. We will do more of these virtual tours. So if there's a program, an area, a question that you have, let us know. We would absolutely love to customize what we're doing for the next time around. And if it doesn't work for a big webinar, we'll do it just for you. We'd love to show you what's going on. So thank you for your support. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, be well, and we will get through this together. Thank you.